You're listening to MoneyWeb at midday.
Now, behind every hit song is a journey, and let me tell you, it's often a struggle. In South Africa's tough creative economy, many music creators face a harsh reality: great ideas, but no funding to bring them to life. Now, the South African Music Rights Organisation's Music Creation Support Fund is changing that, with 3 million rand awarded to 120 artists this year alone. It's becoming a force in sustaining local music careers. I want to talk a little bit more about that with Lesego Maforah, who's CSI manager at SAMRO. And let's discuss how this fund is breaking barriers for artists around the country, but in reality, just how far does 3 million rand actually go? So, Lesego, welcome, and briefly tell me how this fund works and what makes this year's round perhaps a little more significant.
Thanks, Jeremy. Well, I think in terms of the work that we do, the SAMRO Music Creation Fund is one of our flagship initiatives. And because SAMRO's members are essentially composers and authors, what we try to do through our program is to give them an opportunity to generate new works. It forms part of our broader CSI strategy around creating a sustainable creative environment and promoting sustainable practices. I think what we're really trying to do is to empower our composer and author members with direct micro grants that give them the opportunity to create a piece of new music that we believe could ultimately allow them to generate royalties.
So if I've done the sums correctly, each artist would receive something in the region of 25,000 rand. Again, with absolute respect, the kind of impact this has on the life of a working composer or performer isn't much. I suppose any amount makes a small difference, though.
No, it does. And you're quite right in terms of the quantum of support. But what we ultimately are trying to do is that a lot of our members, for example, may have already be working on an album, need some additional funding to maybe complete the work or to do mastering on their tracks, or to be able to self-produce one song that they're currently working on. The fund also goes towards supporting them in terms of if they wanted to do, for example, a music video for an album that they've recently finished and have a single that they want to put out from that album. So we don't have many restrictions in terms of how they utilize the money, as long as it goes towards producing original and new music that they're going to be putting out.
All of this against the backdrop of a previous warning from SAMRO about artificial intelligence eroding South Africans' musicians' rights, income and creative ownership. And all of this just illustrates, I guess, how tough it's become for people operating within the creative community.
100%, Jeremy. Look, AI is something that we're not going to get away from, and it manifests itself in a myriad of different ways. I think that the challenge that our creatives are facing, not just SAMRO members, but I think the industry at large, is that there's issues around authorship in terms of artificial intelligence. There's challenges when people are sharing musical content on peer-to-peer networks, and thereby they bypass the system. Secondly, a lot of platforms that are AI-based are internationally based and don't necessarily comply with the rules and regulations and legislations of South Africa, especially when it comes to tracking and monitoring of music usage.
Can SAMRO guarantee transparency as far as the administration of this fund is concerned, given that there have been reports that you've been taken to court over allegations that you plundered more than 60 million rand meant for artists?
Well, 100%. So in terms of the Music Creation Support Fund specifically, before I touch on the other aspect, is that the work that's done from the administrative sense, and especially for the adjudication, is done independently. So myself or any other SAMRO member do not play a role in the adjudication process. We have external adjudicators, different people from the industry, professionals, legal professionals who work within the music industry, who adjudicate on all the applications. What we do is we facilitate the call out, which is the acceptance of the applications. And then ultimately, when we get the final adjudication, we then publish that list on a public platform. You can see it on the SAMRO website. And also we share it with all of our members. So we're very transparent in terms of how the process works and who gets to benefit.
In terms of the applications this year, I understand over 600. Have you noticed any particular trends emerging in terms of genre or even approach?
So we have a wide variety of applications. I think we've seen a marked increase in young people coming through, specifically around the popular genres like Amapiano and Afrobeats. But we still have contributions and applications from members who are looking to do more traditional music, whether it's Mbaxanga or some of them working on gospel. But we also have artists who are trying to present unique projects that are diverse and are unique in their interpretation of what is South African music.
You've also mentioned that gender and genre diversity as key factors this year. That obviously is going to shape any final selection that you make.
Yeah, so we have been actively promoting within our member base for more women and youth to submit their applications. And also we've really tried to get people who are in rural communities to submit applications so that we have a more widespread and inclusive program. I think when we look at the numbers over the past 5 years, we've tried to really increase the number of women. One of the challenges, not just from an MCS perspective, but from a SAMRO perspective, is increasing the amount of participation, specifically from women and young people. And for people to realize that, it's not just people from the central hubs like Gauteng, Durban, Cape Town, who are eligible to get these prizes, but that you can be from anywhere. As long as your project meets the requirements and is of a good standard, you're most likely to get awarded.
Thank you very much indeed. That's Lesego Maforah, who is CSI Manager at the South African Music Rights Organisation. And that's where we are going to leave it. You've been listening to MoneyWeb at midday. We're here every weekday at noon with the latest in current affairs, the economy and policy. You can always catch the podcast version a little later. Thank you for making us part of your day. Until next time, goodbye.
Listen to the daily live stream of MoneyWeb at midday or download episodes on moneyweb.co.za, the MoneyWeb app, Apple Podcasts and Spotify, or follow MoneyWeb News on social media for more updates. MoneyWeb, your trusted source for business and investment insights.